Today I want to show you how to rework a 40-year-old radiator. So just some basic background information. As you have probably seen on my other social media, we just have bought a house, an old house. It's actually pretty much close 40 years old, and that's why probably not will be posting 3D printing videos in the next couple of weeks, but some home renovation videos. And to start things off, I'm currently working to rework all of the old radiators, which are 40 years old, as already mentioned, and they have took quite a beating in the time. The paint is chipped off, some points are rusted, and I just want to show you how to very cheaply and very efficiently make a cosmetic workover of those radiators. For this project you will need a couple of things. The first thing, of course, is some sandpaper. I'm using 240 grit sandpaper. I bought this roll for 15 euro or so from Amazon, and it's about 1 kilogram. I don't know how many meters are on there, but you'll need about half a meter of a strip for a total radiator, even for in my case. The next, of course, you'll need is a spray can, and there's a special kind of paint for radiators. This one is really cheap. It cost me €3.90 and I have achieved some pretty decent results with it. I'm using the white matte for this one. The next one, of course, is some painter's tape, because there are some areas you don't want to paint, of course, like the regulation or your shelf on top of here on your window. Besides that, of course, you will need something to clean your radiator after you have sanded it, or even before you will sand it. In my kitchen there was a radiator. It was really filthy with some nasty cooking stuff. I first had to clean it, then sand it, and then paint it. This one, it's just pretty dusty, so I will be sanding it, and afterwards I will be cleaning it very good. You'll need some paper for this, and in my case I'm using just some APA, which I have in my makerspace. Of course, protection is also a big issue, so wear some gloves, and if you have one, wear a very good respirator, because you don't want to breathe in this kind of spray paint. And now for the advanced users, I would call them, if you don't want to go through the whole process and sanding your radiator by hand, if you have a Dremel with a sanding bit or with these tiny sanding rolls, which are very fine, you can also use that, but you have to sand very gently. Only sand the rough spots. I will show it later, and afterwards you either have to go with some sandpaper by hand, because you cannot fine tune it as much as with your hand, and it will not be very smooth. So let's start. I want to show you some critical points on the radiator and how the radiator looks in detail. And then we'll start right with sanding. So you can see around the connection point there are some nasty spots where the paint already chipped off, and there's also some different paint from the wall on there. I will be completely sanding this off to the bare metal and then gently spraying it over with white spray paint I just bought. What I'll be sanding especially is on the front face, these points where the total paint has chipped off, like here and here and here. And it's worth mentioning that this radiator actually is really deep. As you can see, the brush is passing all the way through, and that's about, I would say, 20 centimeters deep. It's the deepest one I have in the house, and it will be very hard to spray on the inside of the radiator all the way through. That's not a big issue from my experience, because all of my radiators have been painted before with some white spray paint, and it will kind of blend into the next color, which is like right here. You won't be really notice a color difference if you use the same color. If your radiator, for example, is gray or any other color and you want to spray it white, this kind of technique or how I approach it, it won't really work, because you will be seeing a total color difference, and this won't be the case if you use a pretty similar color. What you can see right here is the spot I just showed you, the chipped off one, and I also will remove like these little points here on the top. It's some different color from the wall painting. These radiators have not been covered when the walls have been painted, which is kind of stupid in my opinion, but I am able to sand everything away, and I just want to show you how I approach these points right here. So I'm taking my 240 grit sandpaper and I'm just gently pressing it on and sanding in the same direction as the radiator goes. And every time I pass the spot where the paint is missing, I press harder. So here I press softer, here I press harder, and here softer. And what it will do, it will blend in the paint to the spot where the color is missing. You can see right here that the whole color has been took off. And here you go, basically. You don't have to go completely to bare metal, but if you touch it with your hand, you can feel that there's no edge or whatsoever. It feels super smooth, and you can just paint it over after you have cleaned the spot with some APA. And as already mentioned before, you can also use one of these sanding bits on your Dremel. And because I already sanded 5 radiators, as you can see, my wrist already hurts. I'll be using my Dremel because I'm a lazy person, and you can watch me work over my radiator right now. Sanded all the high spots and all the low spots of the radiator. Now it's time to clean it. I'm gonna first vacuum it, and then I'm gonna clean it with IPA and some towels and a brush, and afterwards I will be covering all the parts which I don't want to paint with some paint tape, and also cover off this corner right here because the overspray can make it all white, which I of course don't want. Which I don't want to paint. Time for the first paint coat. You always have to do very thin paint coats. Take your time when painting, otherwise your color will rinse down your radiator, which you don't want to. You will need at least 3 coats of this kind of color until everything is colored. The best thing is 3 to 4 coats from my experience. And as said, take your time, make 1 coat, wait 20 to 30 minutes. Or if you don't have the time to wait, make it the next day, and then the next day, or at least have half an hour in between every coating. So let's put on the first coat.
One eternity later.
So it is the next day. I already applied 3 coats of paint, and now I will do the final coat of paint, and then we'll have a look how it has turned out. So the 4th coat has now dried, not fully dried, but it's pretty dry to the touch. So we can take a closer look how the radiator now looks. So right here was the nasty spot where I sanded everything off and covered it with 4 coats. You can barely see any difference. Also, if you look from the side, you cannot tell where the surfaces are, where I sanded it down to the bare metal. You can see, but I also don't want to hide the fact that right here, as you can see your white color fading into the original color, and that's why I mentioned in the beginning that it won't work with a radiator which has like a gray base color and then you spray white over it, because you can see the spray transfer if you look very carefully inside of the radiator. It's just too deep, so the overspray cannot reach these hard spots, these deep spots. With a much thinner radiator, it's more easy. The overspray will reach all these hard spots, but with this kind, it won't work. For me, it doesn't matter, as you will probably never look so close into your radiator. The light won't reach it, there's always a shadow, so you cannot really see that. And inside the radiator there will be dust and so on, and it will be not visible. As said, all in all, you will only need 1 spray can for an average radiator and some sanding paper. All in all, I would say you can make this makeover with under 10 bucks, which is kind of awesome. I hope you found this video interesting. If so, leave a comment below what you found the most interesting and leave a like. It actually helps a lot. Also, consider subscribing to my channel. As always, I want to thank you for watching. Have a nice day and goodbye.